What is a secret you know about someone that could literally ruin their life? I seem to be the only person who knows that I have no idea what I'm doing. Don't tell my employer. I know that the director of the school I was going to had a same-sex affair with my math teacher. His wife never found out. A coworker bragged, at work, about losing his virginity the night of his bachelor party, but his wife still doesn't know and thinks they lost their virginity to each other on their wedding night. It's a very big deal to her and would most likely end in their divorce if she ever found out. A former colleague denied vacation requests for staff so he could instead approve a request for a subpar employee that he kissed at an office party. He's on an H-1B and if he were fired would have to go back to India and his wife would find out what happened. He's too lazy to apply for a visa change to get off the H-1B and is a shitty manager in general. Years ago was trawling sketchy personals listings and came across my then Starbucks manager. He not only posted this face, but I could also see his shitty tattoos, so it was definitely him. Anyhow, he was servicing men and women starting at $100. I never told anyone and I hated the fact that LD seen his penis. My brother had an affair with one of my friend's moms. She used to give him a lift to work when he was 18 years old, and she started being suggestive on one drive, so they pulled over and you know what? This continued for a long time, over 6 months. She ended up getting obsessed with him and he blocked her on all social media and his phone and basically buried his head in the sand. Her husband is a huge skinhead scary guy that owns one of the pubs, and her son is a lifelong friend of mine. None of them know. He only told me as she, seemingly, didn't tell anyone. It's pretty weird having such a weighted secret. My friend had sex with his wife's sister eyeing before they got married. She has no idea. I'm in the Navy and I know a lot of people who have cheated on their spouses. I'm sure if I spilled the beans at least a few of them would have their lives ruined. My mom told me my stepfather is not my stepsister's biological father. My stepsister has no idea. Update, wow. This completely blew up. Here's a little more information. My stepfather knows he is not the biological father. He found out when my stepsister had some blood work done as a baby. She's O negative. That isn't possible based on his blood type. He confronted his now ex-wife about it and she said it didn't matter. She said my stepsister was the result of an affair that was a one-time thing and that my stepfather raised her as his own and that shouldn't change. Also, I will never tell her. It's not my secret to tell. Besides, my stepfather I as her father as far as I'm concerned. She's smart, kind, and a hard worker in large part due to him raising her. Soul don't care if they don't share the same bloodline. He's an amazing man and I consider him one of my dads too. My GF's grandfather has a secret family. He emigrated to my country from the US when he was younger, and kept in touch with his ex, I wanna say wife? Could be girlfriend. But he is also dating a woman here, who is the mother of a very prominent political figure in my country, has a decent shot at being our next prime minister. He travels back and forth from my country to the States, to visit family and play golf, and the woman left behind has no idea. The one living in the US actually knows about the other one, but the one in my country is fairly religious and would probably not approve. I went to university with a guy who became a very successful drugs dealer on the dark web. He made tens of millions, then quietly retired somewhere in Asia and opened a vegan restaurant. His wife and kids don't have a clue. Last we spoke he said he still held most of the Bitcoin he collected back then and it's worth 9 digits now. I don't want to say much more. He's the nicest guy who just unwittingly stumbled into a dubious windfall. My adopted daughter's biological mother had severe mental health issues, and her drug addiction killed her. These stemmed from the fact that she knew she was the product of an incestuous rape, and it was not kept secret. I don't ever want my daughter to find out, because I'm afraid of what it could do to her psychologically. I learned from my best friend that my cousin, 40-ish M, had an affair with a 20-year-old girl, one of my friend's friend. My cousin is engaged and have 3 with his fiancée. I'm from a small town. If I told someone, it would not only ruin their life, but everyone would so know. His mom is from a high-standing family in the area. It would be a disaster. A good friend of mine is Indian and gay, which she knows her family won't accept. she about to have an arranged marriage to a man, who is also gay. Neither of their families know the truth and are excited about the upcoming wedding. The groom's boyfriend is part of the wedding party. They plan to have children via IVF at some point. My stepmom threw away a family heirloom that was gifted to me to make my already poor relationship with my dad worse. I didn't figure it out until many years later, but my dad has passed now and she was never popular with any of my family or any of his friends to begin with. One of my brother's military friends sexually assaulted me while my brother, his friend, and one of my friends were hanging out playing pool and drinking. My brother knows because I told him the night it happened. My family also knows. The dude is married and has 3 kids. Initially my brother was furious and talked about shooting the guy, but now they're friends again and the reasoning he gave me was everybody cheats. Except none of it was consensual and I'm not a piece of shit. His wife showed up in my people you may know on Facebook and I've contemplated telling her. Throw away. My ex-boss/ex-best friend is a covert narcissist who loves lies by omission. He dodges taxes in the stupidest ways by depositing payments from roofing jobs complete with sales tax directly into his personal bank account and then just not reporting it as if they never did the job, and deletes the invoices even though invoice numbers are sequential and he would get found out in a jiff under an audit. He lies to the union about how much work is done and underreports things so he pays them less. He lies about the guys working on his roof since they're not really part of the union, but they used to be, so he likes to think he can get away with it. He lies to his commercial roofing insurance about the amount of hot work that he does to save on insurance. Worse is he once dated an underage girl, 17, when he was in his late 20s and lied about his age for years. He lied to his current lawyer fiancé who he now has a kid with about how much he used to deal pot when it was still illegal, and having been arrested for trafficking twice in his life, once charged as a minor and gone as an adult, once dismissed as an adult for first-time offense with community service hours served. Even worse, is that he likely never told his wife to be about that time he dated that underage girl and lied about his age. Yeah, I can destroy his business with a call to the union, a call to the insurance, a call to the tax people, a call to his competitors about his lack of safety procedures or paperwork so they can bring the workplace safety inspectors, and utterly rock the rest of his life with his partner and son by exposing that she, yet again, is marrying a giant liar who can't be trusted with anything. And yet he saw fit to piss me off and still try to affect my unemployment. One of my co-workers smokes meth at work. In the last 3 months I've found probably half a dozen pipes she's left behind because she's too fucked up to remember to hide them. About a month ago she started leaving these passive-aggressive notes, usually when the boss shows up, about how she's the only one who does her job. I showed her the folder on my phone and told her if she leaves another bullshit note for me to read, I'll call the boss, then I'll call DHR. I don't give a fuck about that job, but I'll be fucked before I let some tweaker get me fired. Wouldn't really ruin his life, but it would be embarrassing. One of my buddies is a furry, like a massive furry. I was looking for some old Call of Duty videos we made in like 2009, I was just searching the old gamer tags, trying to figure out where they were and a page for a furry website popped up. It had all his basic info on it, with an up-to-date age, looked around the page and found an IRL pic from his room that I recognized. It had like 8 years of almost daily uploads/interactions on there. Haven't told anyone, can't really. Not going to be the guy that just bullies him or tells our other friends, he's not hurting anyone. But I'm also not gonna tell him I know, cause that would be mad awkward. I'm terrified I'm gonna let it slip when I am drunk. The family of a good friend, let's call her Ashley, is very religious. To the point that they only let her go to school or out with people they approved. I was the good girl who was allowed to go out with her to have fun, so one was with Ashley during her rebellious stage in which she got into everything her family hated, got piercings, drank alcohol, dated guys. There was a video of her in a threesome that we had to delete from a guy's cell phone, and even has a couple of tattoos. The point is that she is now of legal age and her family treats her as the exemplary girl that she never gave problems with the minors of the family. She is in a 1-year relationship with a boy from church that they approve of and with whom she had no relationships because they are expecting marriage. If they knew the things she did in her adolescence, they would completely disown her, she would take away all the financial stability that she has from her since she continues to live with her parents. And all her neighbors would stop talking to her because her father is the pastor of the church. An ex-friend that I had made her dog eat her out. I didn't know about it until she wasn't in my life anymore. One of my closest friends went to an LVY League college. He very much acts like it on a regular basis. I know, but he doesn't, that his parents bought his way in. His grades were far too mediocre. Used to know someone who told her daughter her bio dad is dead. He is not and very findable. Crazy update: I never said anything because the father in question was a violent douche and she wanted to protect her child. Also tie for the awards. First one's here, now to figure out what to do. The mo they just chill there, cool. I know his kink, he knows mine. It's basically mutually assured destruction if either of us ever turns into that big an asshole. Not sure about life ruining, but basically someone spammed another person with what they thought were anonymous death threats and told them to kill themselves, then fled the platform they did it on and now are fairly successful on another. Definitely weird knowing someone's a shitty person and having evidence and several witnesses while their fans/friends don't and think they're a sweetheart. More like a secret amongst me, my mom and siblings, but it's how abusive my dad used to be. Still is, but he has improved. I had sex with my Mormon boyfriend before and after he went on his mission, and also either directly before or even after he'd proposed to his now wife. He didn't think it was particularly important to tell me that he'd found a good Mormon fiancé in another town already. This is a big no-no in the Mormon church. My mom is the most straight-laced, uptight person you can imagine and she works very high-level financial jobs for the government. If you looked up professional woman in the dictionary it would probably just be a picture of her. What no one else knows is that she has a tattoo on the back of her leg of a bear with penises instead of legs, like where its legs would be there are just massive dicks. She wears tights or pants to cover it all the time. As far as I know I'm the only person that knows about it. She was a very wild teenager and met up with an aspiring tattoo artist, aka rando with a tattoo gun, in a hotel room to get a tattoo of a bear. When she was 16 the guy got a little excessively creative and gave her a bear with dicks for legs. It is so vulgar that if anyone saw it I think there's a good chance she's lose her job, or at least have some serious explaining to do. I once asked her why she doesn't get it removed and she says it's her symbol to her stupid youth. One guy I know in high school wears diapers to bed because he still pisses the bed. He's popularish so I could spread that like wildfire if I wanted to, but we're buddies. He doesn't know I know and that's the way I'll keep it. A rich businessman in my neighborhood is meeting with a hooker on regular basis. I guess that could mess up a lot if his wife knew. My cousin thinks her dad died in a car crash but it wasn't her real dad. Her real dad is dead now too though. Most of the family knows but she never found out. Her brothers are her half-brothers, not full. She has no idea. My coworker drunkenly confessed to a murder to myself and another coworker. He told us the story, the details, including the victim, the location if the body, and the motive. I've actually reported it to law enforcement but they never followed up with me. They either don't believe me or they have investigated and found nothing to prove, or they're still investigating it. It's possible he made the whole thing up, but I've literally seen him pull a gun on someone before, and almost kill them. I know he's killed people on deployment before, not the same thing, but still a factor. I just also know him enough as a person, to know he is probably being honest about it. I slept with a girl for several months and she told me she was seeing someone but it wasn't serious or anything. I later found out that someone was her husband, she was married. My father passed 2 weeks ago. My uncle and his wife plundered his bank account and are trying to tell me I'm not next of kin, so kicked off when I froze my father's account they were gonna keep his disability benefits going in for 6 more weeks. Because they did this with a few family deaths pre-internet era they thought they could do it again. They have 2 weeks to return all monies or I'm reporting them myself, although assume the bank is now onto them. This girl who is now married and has 2 kids doesn't know her now husband cheated on her several times with prostitutes in the Philippines while deployed. I knew when they were just dating, I just didn't know how to tell her. The other secret is, this girl I know gave her husband a box of goodies for Valentine's Day along with a thong as a sexy teaser since he was deployed. He decided to tie it onto the stuffed animal she gave him. He noticed the next day the thong that was tied really good onto the stuffed animal was missing. A couple days go by and he saw the thong in a guy's bed. The guy is his best friend. Their wives are best friends. I know one guy who cheated on his wife in their bed a week before they got married. It was his bachelor party. I think maybe she was out of town for the bachelorette party and his was in town. I knew the whole group but wasn't part of the bachelor party. They came into the bar I worked at when half of them were so fucked up they couldn't walk. No big deal since pretty much all of our staff was friends with all of them. The groom picked up a woman that some of us called Nasty Amanda, not actual name, but we called her Nasty and then her name. He literally said I'm going to go fuck her in my bed like it's something to be proud of. As much as I've known him for probably close to 20 years, he and his brother are entitled shitbags. There's been a few times I've thought of telling his wife. I'm not the only one that knows. Most of the bachelor party went back to his house after they left the bar. There are witnesses. Another guy I know shot into someone's house a very, very long time ago. I don't think anyone died but there were people home. The neighborhood doesn't even exist anymore. It was completely bulldozed and a strip mall was put up where it once was. So there isn't a crime scene. If I ever did hear that someone had been shot and killed there, LD be able to tell police exactly who did it. My neighbor is having an affair with his son's primary school teacher, behind both his own wife's and her husband's back. Being going on now for a little over 4 months. So feasibly how many lives could I ruin or enlighten? My ex sexually assaulted me after we broke up. We got into a horrible argument and things escalated. He is now married with a successful career, a house, and an infant power of son. I wonder if he ever thinks about it. Friend is in love with best friend's girlfriend. Like deeply in love. And he has his own girlfriend. I don't ask. They're some of my only friends but I question the life choices they make which makes it hard to be friends with them sometimes. Guess a good friend just accepts you for who you are regardless and if it's too much, you just don't be friends. That's what personal history has taught me at least. My best friend's kid isn't actually her or her husband's biological kid, he is biological kid of her sister. It was an unexpected pregnancy which would have been terminated but my best friend and her husband had been trying for a baby for years but had infertility issues so they made an agreement for the pregnancy to go through and finally adopt the baby. The kid doesn't know that his aunt is his biological mother, he's a loved and happy 16Y/0 now. My friend has been cheating on his girlfriend of 3 years with a dude and has been regularly having threesomes. This would totally destroy his life because he lives with his girlfriend and works for her, she's his manager. He'd be jobless and out on the streets if she ever found out. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets burned when he's playing with fire this extensively.